and welcome to That Shakespeare Life. I'm Cassidy Cash, and this week we're going to try out this rumor floating about concerning tea and one US scientist who claimed it tasted better if you add salt. How is that related to Shakespeare's history, you may ask? Well, I'm going to show you right now on That Shakespeare Life. So, if you follow British history at all on social media channels, you've seen several people all aflutter at this article published about how one US scientist claimed that tea tastes better with a pinch of salt. Gasp. This caused so much flurry of activity in England, even prompting the US Embassy to issue a satirical statement suggesting they don't drink their tea with salt, but they do microwave it. Gasp again. Smaller gasp. In order to try out this history, just because I think that sounds fun, I decided to make a nice cup of tea, add some salt, and find out exactly what the taste difference might be. Now, in order to bring you with me on this journey, I wanted to try and use a tea that would have been available in Shakespeare's lifetime. That, of course, gets complicated because, firstly, drinking tea on a regular basis wasn't really an English thing until much later than Shakespeare, around the 1660s or so. For Shakespeare's lifetime, tea was a novelty item brought to England by the East India Trading Company. Teas like Darjeeling from India would have been around in Shakespeare's lifetime, but they weren't a popular beverage. People didn't have afternoon tea and they didn't drink it the way that they do today. So, the second complication for this experiment was that I don't drink caffeine. At least, I'm not drinking caffeine right now. So, I wanted to have a tea that did not have caffeine. I selected chamomile. That's what I have here on hand, and it's even from Twinings of London, so that makes it perfect for testing out British tea. I popped the tea into my cup, ran some hot water from the Keurig. That's probably sacrilege over the tea kettle, but at least it's not a microwave. Anyway, once the tea was set, I let it sit to brew. The optimum time, according to experts, is anywhere from 1 to 5 minutes. While that brews, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the history of chamomile from Shakespeare's lifetime, and by the time I'm finished, the tea should be ready to try. Chamomile tea was around during Shakespeare's lifetime. In fact, chamomile was used well before Shakespeare. I found one English herbal that features chamomile dating back to the year 1000. From Shakespeare's lifetime, we have John Gerard, who we so often thank for cataloging plants, and we can thank him for cataloging chamomile for Shakespeare's lifetime as well. John Gerard himself lived from 1545 to 1612, and his General History of Plants was first published in 1597, the same year an unauthorized quarto of Romeo and Juliet was published. Well, inside this manual, John Gerard does talk about chamomile. In fact, chamomile gets its own chapter in this book. He features several different kinds of chamomile, including Roman chamomile and German chamomile, which are very popular still today. And I'm drinking Roman chamomile in case you're interested in which one I have. Here in this herbal, John Gerard shows pictures of chamomile, and it looks just like the chamomile we have today. It has these beautiful little flowers, and they're just so cute. I don't know how everyone doesn't love this tea. But Gerard goes on to list how the Roman variety stands upright when it's growing and doesn't slouch over like the rest of them. He also talks about how the flowers bloom all summer long. Under uses for chamomile, which he has this whole section for each of his plants. He actually calls it the virtues, but it's the uses or the ways that the plant can be applied. He describes chamomile as being good for digestion, preventing gas, and the use of oil of chamomile is used for treating aches, pains, and swellings. The most surprising use for chamomile is listed as a substance where, when you mix it with white wine, you drink it if you want to expel a dead child from the body and, quote, clean those parts, end quote. I had no idea chamomile was ever applied for that purpose. But he goes on to describe a mixture with what I suppose is red wine, and I'm only concluding that it's red wine because he calls it wine versus white wine. So I'm assuming just wine is a red variety. But anyway, if you mix it with red wine, it's good against colds. And then he goes on to describe boiling the herb in water, which is where we get chamomile tea, if you're still paying attention with me here, is listed by Gerard as a treatment for what sounds like a chest cold. He talks about, quote, chest coming of wind and, quote, expelling tough and clammy phlegm. That sounds like a head cold to me. Which, incidentally, is why I have chamomile on hand right now, because I've been treating my own cold the last several days, and chamomile just helps a whole lot. So Gerard seems to have figured that out in Shakespeare's lifetime as well. Kind of fun to think Shakespeare might have had the same cold treatment that I do. Now, there's more to learn about chamomile tea from Shakespeare's lifetime, and I'll link you to Gerard's complete herbal in this video. It's available for free online. Have a look because it's just fascinating. And if you want to learn more, you can check that link below to read it and just explore 16th century plants to your heart's content. Now, Shakespeare wouldn't have been picking up chamomile tea as his beverage for the afternoon, but he would have known about it, and it obviously had a solid place in the medical treatment of things. So I think that makes chamomile tea a very historically accurate choice for today's little fun experiment. So that's why I'm going to use chamomile today, and it's all steeped and ready here, and I've got my cup. So I'm going to add just a pinch of salt, and I've got um, Himalayan pink sea salt. There's my pinch of salt. I don't know how much a pinch is. Is it your pinch, my pinch, big pinch, small, whatever? Anyway, quarter of a teaspoon. Anyway, a pinch in there. We're going to let that sort about. I didn't take the tea bag out of my cup. Don't come at me through the screen, all of England. Stay over there. So let's see what it tastes like. I mean, it tastes a little fuller, maybe. I guess there is a little bit of a flavor difference. I don't know that there's enough of a difference that I think I'm going to insist on having salt in my tea moving forward. I think I'm good with just straight chamomile. Now, I have been drinking straight chamomile for 5 days and it's kind of my friend now, so maybe I just don't like messing with it. I don't know. If you try this on your own, let me know what you think about having salt in your tea. I think I'm going to stick with no salt myself, so consider me team no salt and let me know what you think. No matter where you land on the salt versus not salt in terms of drinking your tea, I hope you enjoyed exploring the history of chamomile from Shakespeare's lifetime. Cheers to you, and as always, I'm Cassidy Cash, and I hope you learned something new about the bard. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.